Hello there, and thank you for stopping by my video. I hope it blesses you. I'd love to read a passage from Genesis chapter 3, but before I read there, I'll give a brief context. This is where we see the fall of man. We ask ourselves, why is there so much brokenness? Why is there so much evil in this world? Why is there so much pain? And why is there death? And it all started with this account found in the Garden of Eden. God created two trees, one of which was the knowledge of good and evil, and he commanded Adam and Eve to not eat from this tree because eating from it will bring death. And so we see in chapter 3, we have the serpent, who's otherwise known as Satan, comes into this garden to beguile Eve into thinking that she won't die as a result from eating this tree, but instead she'll be like God. So Satan deceives through temptation, and she takes the bait and gives to her husband. And as a result, sin enters into the world, and all of this brokenness comes along with it. It's very easy for us to look at the Old Testament with a lens that God is a condemning dictator, especially when we think about law and commandments and things and all of that nature. But rarely do we change the filter into which we see the Old Testament through, because Jesus Christ says in the New Testament that I and the Father are one. He says to his disciples, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So it's important to recognize what we see in Christ is the same in the Old Testament, but we tend to miss it. Adam and Eve, as a result of transgressing against this simple instruction, and as a result, they try to cover their shame. They cover themselves with fig leaves. And that's something we can resonate to. We've done things that we're not proud of, and as a result, we hide ourselves. We're afraid to admit the truth. And it also comes from a mind of rejection. We have broken relationships, and so it's difficult for us to give of ourselves to others because we've received so much rejection in this world. But God calls out to man, where are you? Because he's always seeking to redeem and restore, and we see a picture of that. In verse 15, it says, I will put enmity between thee and the woman. He's speaking to the serpent. And between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. God is speaking of a prophecy pertaining to the Son of God who came from the seed of the woman, which was the Virgin Mary. And we see also a further picture of this in verse 21, where God makes coats of skin to cover Adam and Eve's shame, and that's what Christ does for us. His shed blood covers our shame, and he does it from love. God bless.